of array, you as a substitute of string you were having the array of characters. That means कि अगर आपको एक complete sentence लिखना है या complete full name लिखना है तो आप उसको कैसे introduce करते थे? You were having characters and you use these characters और उसका एक array बना दो. In C++ what happens is string एक header file की तरह introduce हुई, string as a class was introduced, and since string was a complete header file तो उसमें different functions होते हैं. Okay, what if you don't have the length function? What if you don't have direct functions of swapping two strings or to calculate the last index of a particular substring or to find out a particular substring? तो ये क्या होता है, आपको मैनुअली चीजें करनी पड़ती है. यू हैव टू इंट्रोड्यूस the loops, you have to inbuilt or you have to use for loop, while loop और do while loop से आप array का size calculate करते थे. But what happens in C++, since string is a complete header file, string is treated as a class, और अगर class है तो उसके functions inbuilt होते हैं. Similarly in C++, length function, replace function, there are plenty of functions that are supported with string as a class, and you can work with these functions, right? So you can directly work with these functions and you can build an object क्यों बोल रही हूँ मैं कि अगर कोई क्लास होती है तो क्लास के functions को यूज करने के लिए we have to create an object is nothing but the functionality of how you can use the classes features, the data types of the class and the functions of the class. We'll also explore the classes in further lectures. If you see this particular example, आपने first जैसे C में introduce हुआ था तो C में आपको अगर simple word लिखना है तो आपने array use करा है. Array we already have covered this topic. In C++, see the second line states string is a class, so you have to write string and followed by the name of the variable. जैसे आप integer बनाते हो, integer है, float है, so these integer, float and जो भी आप data type लिखते हो, similarly string can be treated as where you write this data type कि आपका data type string होगा followed by the name of that character, the name of that object. तो s यहाँ पे object है आपका followed by whatever value that you are giving. So it's a complete string, तो आप इसमें पूरा sentence भी दे सकते हो or you can write a single word also, right? So we'll explore the functions. It's just the example of how you can print the value of s. तो आपने क्या करा, cout s करा है followed by whatever the text that you can directly print has will be printed directly followed by the length. अब जो भी functions हम use करते हैं, since these functions are inbuilt, so आप जो भी functions use करते हो वो object के through ही होते हैं. That means if I say I have a string as a class and I'm creating the object for this class, मैंने कहा इसमें object क्या बनाया था, s object बनाया था. तो जो भी string का मैं function use करूंगी, जो भी inbuilt function use करूंगी, जैसे अगर मेरे पास maths है, maths as a header file है, तो maths header file के अंदर मेरे पास जितने भी inbuilt function है, sin है, cos है, tan है, जितने भी functions है, मैं उसके object के through करती हूँ या फिर मैं directly भी कर सकती हूँ. There are two things of how you can directly work also, right? So if I'm writing s dot length, that refers to s is a created object of a string class and its inbuilt function with the name of length will be used over here. So उसमें क्या होगा, by default उसकी functionality है that whatever is the length of that string function उसका वो output आ जाएगा. For example, if I have 2-letter word or a 3-letter word, so it will automatically calculate the length of the string and it will return me the result obviously in number, so it will return the result in an integer and it will be printed. So s has whatever characters will be printed over here. Similarly, there is a replace function. We'll explore in detail what the replace function is all about and its different parameters, different constructors also. So s dot replace, so replace is a function that is by default function 5 comma 2 and followed by ia. That means you have to change, you have to start with the index 5, टेक 2 कैरेक्टर्स. पहला वाला जो आपका पैरामीटर होता है दैट इज द इंडेक्स. यू हैव टू स्टार्ट एरे, आपको सबको पता है जैसे स्टार्ट होता है, सो इट स्टार्ट्स विद 0. सो ऑब्वियसली जो आपने यहाँ नेपोलियन वर्ड लिखा है इसका n उसका जो index होगा that would be 0, 1 would be taken by index 1, then 2 would be taken by P, then O, 3 and so on. So the index always starts with 0 and 5 index पे कौन सा letter होगा?
E.
E. So E के साथ आपको दो characters लेना है. That means you need to count now. You don't have to refer to the index over here. आप दो count करोगे. That means E and O would be replaced by I and A. Is it clear now? आपको
Yes, ma'am.
5th इंडेक्स पे जाना है. उसके बाद कितने नंबर ऑफ कैरेक्टर्स काउंट करने हैं, दैट इज 2 एंड यू हैव टू रिप्लेस विद व्हाटएवर वर्ड इज गिवन इन द थर्ड पैरामीटर. So this is how the constructor of replace work. But never mind if it's not clear, we'll explore this function. It's just the example of how these functions work in string. Okay. Next is, if you see this diagram, every character string, even if it's a sequence of character and this character is referred to as a string, so every string is obviously it starts with an index 0, and whatever value that you give, for example the value over here is hello, so whatever value that you give, it is stored in an array which is ended by this character, that we call it as a null character. तो जो भी आप value दोगे, जो भी user से, even if you take the value from the user, every string is terminated by this end character. We also say this is the end of the string character and this is the null character. तो हर एक string की जो value होगी उसके end में ये by default you have to place it. Obviously you don't have to place it. By default जो compiler है वो उसको place करता है this null character at the end, right? Will null also have an index? Yes, null will also have an index. You'll see in the comparison जब हम comparison function करेंगे, so null will also be counted as an index. So this is counted as the index. Okay, so this diagram states that first is, अगर आपके पास सिंगल कैरेक्टर है, सिंगल सिर्फ एच आपने टाइप करा है, सो दिस इज अ सिंगल कैरेक्टर विद 1 बाइट. सिंपल कैरेक्टर की बात हो रही है, CHAR की बात हो रही है. इट्स नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट स्ट्रिंग. नाउ इफ यू टाइप H एज अ स्ट्रिंग, व्हाट हैपेंस इज इट विल टेक 2 बाइट्स. पहला तो आपका H होगा, दैट इज द वैल्यू ऑफ द string followed by the null character. So पहला हो गया आपका simple character that is taking 1 byte. If you talk of string में भी अगर आपने single letter दिया है, then also it will be counted as 2 bytes since you have to place null at the end. Even if you have a null string, even if you have a empty string, आपने कुछ भी value नहीं दी, then also null would be placed at the end since there are no characters, so it will be treated as an empty string. So this is how you store, or the storage takes place in place of the character and in place of the string. So this is the basic difference of how the strings are being placed with the null character, and that takes 2 bytes.